ONWARD to Prosperity, and we have such a great privilege of having Rocky Blyer in our studio, and we are talking about empowering. And we're also talking about the fact that we come from a culture in the military where we're seen as strong people, that we can figure this out and we don't need help, which is not the case when you're trying to build your life outside of the military. Right, Rocky?
Right. And I think one of the things, and I think, see, and this becomes, and it becomes very important in the long haul, is talking about these situations, telling one's story, because we all have a story of how we got to where we are today. So every soldier has a story, and unfortunately, from maybe the beginning of time, is that nobody talks about their story. Nobody talks about their service. I hear time and time again, and I'm sure you have, Anna Marie, that yeah, Dad never talked about it, or Grandpa never talked about it, or my uncles never talked about their experiences or what they've gone through. And that's really a shame, because for future generations, current and or future generations, you don't have an understanding of what military service is all about. And I always like to make the analogy. I said is that as an athlete, for an example, as an athlete, you don't need to play professional sports to understand the mentality of being in the locker room, of whether it be in grade school, junior high, high school, college, on the pros. A locker room is a locker room, and what goes on in a locker room doesn't change at all through those years. And it's the same way in the military. So you go through basic training, you go through advanced infantry, you go through deployment, you go through combat, if that might be, or you go it, and or if you serve during peacetime, you have stories about where you were in Switzerland or Germany or South America or wherever it might have taken you. Those are all part of who you are, and they need to be shared for future generations and for your kids, just to understand what serving your country is all about.
Yes, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. And what kind of legacy can we leave without a story?
Well, that's true, very much so. And, because what really needs to be done, and hopefully more so because of the media, because of people like yourself, are stories, and stories that need to be told, and how they interact with one another. And that's only how we're going to come to a better understanding of who the individual is and what the problems might be and how things can change later on. If nobody talks about their problems, or talks about what needs to be changed, then it's not going to change, and it's only going to be the same as we go through generation after generation.
Well, I'm encouraged to learn that Warrior to Citizen and Veterans Leadership Program are just two of many organizations that allow someone who serves in the military or has served in the military to get what they need to get so that they don't go into a dark place.
That's right. And so, and there's there's another whole industry out there about medical service dogs, and I say this because an impact that they make on individuals' lives, and especially those who are dealing with post-traumatic stress, those who have been dealing with mental health issues, as a lot of soldiers have, or first responders. And I'm just because a lot of first responders come out of the military, and then continue and have a problem. And it's an interesting phenomenon from a medical service dog, the impact that they have on one's life. And if you look at those statistics, they have reduced suicide rates down to almost zero, divorce rates down from a percentage, because they, whatever that bonding is that takes place with that medical service dogs, and most of the time is that you can find an organization that donates and they raise money to help donate, train, and then give it to a veteran. So it's just another opportunity, I should say to your listeners out there, to say, oh, okay, fine. Is there one in my area? Is there one someone close to understand? And there is a difference, and I should say, between a companion dog and a medical service dog in the training and understanding. I mean, they know when you might be having a nightmare. They know when you're being stressed. They understand that, and all of a sudden they're in your lap, or they wake you up, or whatever it might be. So they're amazing stories that I've heard from those who have medical service dogs.
I'm smiling because I know of those type of helps, right?
Right.
But I have a cat that does that too.
That's right.
It's kind of interesting how they innately know that you're in trouble and you need their comfort. You need to just know that they're there for you.
Right. Yeah. And that's all we ask, I think, is that somebody loves us. It doesn't necessarily be our spouse, but
No, I mean that goes a long way.
It sure does.
Especially when you are headed into, or gosh, you've made it into a dark place. If you're heading into a dark place, or you made it into a dark place, just knowing that somebody really cares.
Yeah. And has an innate understanding. That's right. Yeah. They don't care. They're there for you.
Right. Now, let's just go back to the fact that in the military experience, we had a problem. We were told by the leadership, that's your personal problem. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
But when it comes to warriors, veterans, it's not just your personal problem. It is a opportunity. Let's look at it as an opportunity. And if you need some assistance in navigating that opportunity, you've got Warrior to Citizen, you have Veterans Leadership Program, and you have a lot of others. Then he also wants you to see that right there in your own backyard, in your own surrounding community, go and seek out. If you're a military veteran, a warrior, seek out assistance. If you're supporting us, seek out ways to continue to support us with those that are supporting us, right?
Right. Yes.
Exactly what you're doing.
And that's, and so you don't have to do much more than that, except, help where you can, and give your time and energy where you can within your own community. It doesn't have to be, a big deal or a big, but anything helps that will help another individual.
Right. And that's a way to say, thank you for your service.
That's it.
Well, thank you, Rocky, for being on this show and for giving us some inspiration, and for showcasing Warrior to Citizen and the Veterans Leadership Program. And, sir, I also salute you and your service to this country. And thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm going to wrap up this episode right after these messages.